anti-vaccine stance. He is standing up for those that have lost their job. He's a very philanthropic human being. He has done some great things for some great causes. But what do you think about this from Irving?
I think we can go back and forth about the reasoning and the accuracy or the belief system in what he's decided to do. This is his right, Jacoby. If he doesn't want to get vaccinated and he's willing to not play this year for that stance, I applaud him. But the other thing I want to acknowledge, it must be nice that he's still going to get half of his salary. I think that's the underreported part of this. A couple of lines of demarcation took place that I want people to pay attention to. It was at first he could not practice. So therefore, for me, that meant he was going to not be available to the team all year, and then they were going to have to decide what to do with him on the road. When he is now able to practice, that now unlocks the road games for him to go in there and say, I'm available, I'm willing to be there on the road. So now they need to get with the brass of the Nets, the ownership, but more importantly, let's own it for what it is. Talk to KD, talk to James Harden. What do you guys feel about him only playing road games? And then once you get the buy-in from everyone, Sean Marks then goes to the podium and speaks for the organization, which lets me know they all decided they didn't want a part-time player. And that's okay for them. That's okay for him. The thing I want to just acknowledge is that's going to derail their championship goals if Kyrie Irving isn't playing this year.
Well, I still have this team winning the East without Kyrie Irving, but this brings to attention something that I want to talk to you about, which is that when we saw Kyrie hit that three against the Golden State Warriors to win the Cavs, that historic championship, after this moment, let's just track some of the things that have happened. He asked out of Cleveland, wanted off LeBron James's team to have, quote-unquote, his own team. In Boston, that didn't go that well. They didn't have a lot of success in Boston. Then he goes to the Nets with KD. KD's out. He gets injured. He doesn't even travel to the bubble. Last season, he was out and injured. And this season, he's not playing because he's not getting vaccinated at this point. Jalen, is his legacy at stake this season with this decision?
I don't believe so, because he's such a young player. And unlike Ben Simmons, this is what makes this situation different. He only got 1 year left on his deal. So the team can't really play hardball. And in return, he can say, if you trade me, threaten to retire, which I believe is clearly a threat first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. With that being acknowledged, now they have to decide if we're going to go into this season knowing that we're not going to have him and live with the result. Now, we're going to judge the result based on how they fare. If what you say is true and they win the East and they lose, for example, to the Lakers in 6 or 7 games in the NBA Finals, the feelings won't be as hard. But if they get bounced in the second round, just human nature, there's going to be hard feelings. That's just how this works. There are professionals, they're locking in to try to attain a goal. But play that Golden State Cleveland Cavs footage again, because I was in the gym for that. And you know I care about style too. How about that shooting shirt? How about the long shorts, the untucked jersey, the black shoes, the black socks? Like, he looked cold. That's Uncle Drew right there. So you gonna wait for him, dog. You gotta wait for him, Jacoby. That's just what it is. KD ain't leaving him no crazy voicemails. James Harden ain't sending him no dumb texts. A guy with that game, you wait on him.
Well, we always talk about the playoffs, and there's a lot of basketball to be played before we even get there, and I predict a lot of success for the Brooklyn Nets with or without Kyrie Irving. Now, Jalen, we all know I jumped on the Bills bandwagon, and I'm now part of Bills Mafia, but it was so much fun when they were underdogs, and it was jumping on this Buffalo thing, sort of a
I'm too.
Okay, so let's dive into this. According to The Athletic, Kyrie is not anti-vaccine
And that his stance is that he's upset that people are losing their jobs due to vaccine mandates is the stance that Irving has explained to close teammates. To him, this is about a grander fight than the one on the court, and Irving is challenging a perceived control of society and people's livelihood. According to sources with knowledge of Irving's mindset, it's a decision that he believes he is capable to make given his current life dynamics. Kyrie wants to be a voice for the voiceless. Kyrie himself has chosen so far to not speak publicly, though, about his views. If this story is true, Stephen A., I'll start with you here. A lot to unpack. Marcus Spears also here with us, and Jay Williams. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. We got a lot to get into, so we'll dive right into it here. Stephen A., should our position on Kyrie change? Yes,
it should change in regards to Kyrie. It should be even worse than we originally imagined. You know, I have to be, and I try to be, incredibly careful, fellas, in terms of I try to focus on what you do, not who you are. People make mistakes. None of us are flawless. All of us have made mistakes. We'll continue to make mistakes. None of us are perfect. We get all of that. But I've been covering the NBA now for almost 25 years. I mean, this is some of the stupidest nonsense I've ever seen. Just flat out stupid. So let me get this straight. So if the reports are true, because we don't know whether they are or not, okay, but let's give credit to Sham and others who have reported this. It is what it is. Let's go with that, okay? If it is true, Jay, if it is true, Marcus, so you don't have a problem with taking the vaccine, your position is that you're going to sit up there and compromise the championship aspirations of an organization you signed on to represent. You coaxed Kevin Durant into signing on to represent. You played the role in coaxing James Harden into signing on to represent. You're going to compromise all of that because you want to give a voice to the voiceless. Really? And how is that going to work out for you, Kyrie Irving? You're going to disappear from the game of basketball? Who the hell is going to be interested in what you have to say when you have proven that you can't even be trusted enough to do your damn job? A job you volunteered for. This ain't the military where you were drafted. You chose to play basketball. You chose to enter the NBA. You chose to sign that contract as a free agent to go to the Brooklyn Nets. You chose Brooklyn as your destination. You chose the Nets franchise to represent. You asked KD and James Harden to come on board with you in Brooklyn to establish your own legacy. And then you leave them hanging. Because of what exactly? Your own individual principle. I am not calling Kyrie Irving stupid. Kyrie Irving, I happen to believe, is an intelligent brother whose heart is in the right place. But now you've regressed to an alarming level of self-righteousness. It not only makes you look hypocritical and untrustworthy, it makes you look what I know you are not, which is flat out stupid. It's the stupidest thing that I think I've encountered with NBA players. Like, you're gonna sit up there and not play and not take a vaccine that evidently it's not you. You don't have a problem with it according to the reports. You just want to give a voice to the voiceless? Really? You know what? I'm going to stop myself, Molly, Marcus,
let me say something about
Jay,
hypocrisy.
I'm not going to say anything else right now. I'm scared. I'm actually scared for the rest of the show. Okay. And it wasn't what I might say. All right. Go ahead.
Jay, before I come to you, because I know you have information on this subject, I just want to say, Stephen A., when you bring up the issue hypocrisy, I think there's two issues that stand out to me. One, he wants to be a voice for the voiceless, but we haven't heard from him. So if you want to stand up, you have to speak out on these issues so we understand. We can't just, hear a story and we're not even sure whether it's true or not. And the other piece is that he's upset about people losing their jobs. But what about all the people that lost their lives during this pandemic? That's another piece of hypocrisy. So those are the two issues I struggle with. I love a philanthropic heart, but it just doesn't seem to be consistent here, Jay.
Yeah, S.A., I want to go back and dig into something that you said, an imperative word you mentioned earlier. that was legacy. And a lot of times as a player, you sit around and Swagoo, you know this, you think about throughout some juncture in your career, what is the legacy for me going to be? How am I going to be remembered? Because for me, I remember Kyrie Irving having a legacy shot when he made a clutch three-point shot to beat the Golden State Warriors in the 2016 NBA Finals to deliver Cleveland their first world championship.